Good morning, everyone. Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf at the wonderful Royal Quebec Golf Club. And today we have an important segment on the senior golfer. And Doug from the Senior Golfer magazine asked me to do a little bit of a series here. And I appreciate that. And it's something that, you know, obviously should have been done a long time ago. But the thing is, wisdom in golf is for everyone, especially the senior golfer. So I'm just, you know, getting warmed up here for my day. And, you know, before I start demonstrating and hitting shots and stuff like that, I got to be warmed up as well. I got to be at my best. And for many of you who don't go out and warm up, so I've basically spent about 20 minutes to a half an hour warming up here. And I'm going from, you know, I'm taking a 7-iron, and after I've done a few pitch shots, I go to a 7-iron and I start, you know, ramping up the 7-iron. And for a 53-year-old body, it's not like a 20-year-old body anymore. It takes a little longer to warm up, but once it's warmed up, it can perform quite nicely. The last 7-iron I just hit before I turned on the camera was 186 carry, but it started out at 155 carry. And that's what people don't get. I mean, there's a ramping up that occurs when you're playing golf. And if you just jump on the first tee and hop on the first tee, I hope you're not playing for, you know, the power game, because it's just not going to happen. You're just out to hit a few shots on a golf course instead of hitting a few shots on the driving range. You only have about 18 full swings on that front 9. So it will take you at least the better part of the front 9 and part of that back 9 to get you warmed up. So it's really important that you go out on the range and hit a small bucket of balls and start off with some range of motion. So what I like to do is I like to start off with some long chip shots. So I've got a 3-pound hammer right here, and you can do this in your backyard. If I was just tossing like a horseshoe, you notice how my rib cage has to open up in both directions. If I do this, I'm already feeling a strain in my shoulder. Now there's no strain. The arm is free to swing in both directions. So I take it with both hands and I start doing the same thing. So notice in the backswing, for my left arm to have full axis in my backswing, my body has to be out of the way. If I don't turn my body, I don't move my body, the arm will crash immediately into my rib cage and the hammer starts getting wrapped around my body. So if I'm tossing a hammer in that direction, notice how my brain's going to go get the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way, so I have access to tossing this hammer out of the window. So now if I want to do the same with the right side, I want to toss it in that direction. Notice how the brain's going to go back and get the other leg and move your body out of the way, because you only have 20 degrees of range of motion in the shoulders. That clavicle and scapula are sitting on top of the rib cage and they're strapped on with several muscle groups. And the only thing that you have right now is range of motion in the ball socket system. But how is that ball socket system going to be allowed to expand? This can't be in the way. But it's already wired into your system. So if I'm tossing towards you, see how my arm has to be allowed to swing your way. And if I did it with my left hand, same thing. So a golf swing is simply take 2 balls, 1 ball for you, 1 ball for you. Notice how it's nice and easy to toss. See that? And your brain takes care of all the rest. You say, this ball goes over there, you're never going to do that. So the arm can't collapse into you. That's not a self-preserving thing to do. So we need to go that way. The brain's going to go get the ground, use the ground to get your body out of the way, and off you go. It's a nice little catapulting system. It's called, you know, the French call it a trébuchet. So here we go. Now if I do the same thing in both directions, out of the way, don't let the left arm hit me. Out of the way, don't let the right arm hit me. Now, what stance is going to allow you to facilitate this? Wide stance is not going to do it. It's very difficult for you to manage because the brain is trying to go get the front leg, but the back leg is holding on to it. You're much better off with a narrower stance, the way Bobby Jones used to do it. Feet slightly splayed open so that it encourages your hips to turn. Your legs and your hips are the ones that get your rib cage and your pelvis out of the way. And that rib cage gets out of the way, now the arms can swing beautifully and freely in both directions. So we start off with a few out of the way, and you know, the body needs some time to get that kinetic chain fluid. So there's 165, just not batting an eyelash, out of the way, out of the way. And now that I'm warmed up, everything is flowing nicely. That's 170. And then finally, here's a nice little drill. Once you're started to warm up, it's very important that you do this correctly, okay? Imagine you have a sword in your hands. You grab the sword at the bottom of the shaft, right there, just above the head. Not on the head and not so high that it's going to slip. So you want to have that nice secure hold. Imagine you have a bamboo shoot in front of you and you're going to slash through that bamboo shoot. So notice as you do that, the weight of the sword is really releasing your anatomy. There's a wonderful hinge, load, release, and rehinge, reload. Release, hinge, release, hinge, release, hinge, release, hinge. See that nice release? So as I'm letting that release in your direction, what do you think the lead hand's going to have to do now? It has to yield out of the way. So you can't be placing the shot. When you place the shot, you're fighting momentum bitterly. And that's going to really put the kibosh on your juice. So take it in the lead hand. This is where we can really open up that rib cage. So you'll see a nice video of mine entitled Fencing for Power, Shawn Clement. And then you'll see another one entitled Kettlebell Drill, Shawn Clement, so that you can get something a little heavy to toss around the backyard. So I'm going to gather by turning my backside to the target, and I'm going to use the weight of that arm sword unit to slash through. Now this is really important. You don't want to get hurt. As you slash through, you can't hang on to it. See how it's going to really strain your shoulder if you don't allow it to release. The way it releases is very much like a topspin backhand ping pong release. So I'm releasing the back of my hand over the ball. See how that works? So allow for a couple of nice relaxed releases first. Allow that elbow to kick down so that the lead hand can kick over. Now we've got a nice fluid release that's not going to hurt your shoulder. Really important. Those shoulders are super important for your game. They've got to stay healthy. So now you put both hands on the club. It's exactly like when you're hitting in baseball. When you hit a baseball, notice how the bat is going to snap those hands over. You're going to feel that trail hand snap over the lead hand. That's exactly what you want to feel in the golf swing. So we gather the sword and we let the sword release us in the direction that we want the ball to go. So now that we can open up, gather, then I can really let it go. Now we're looking at 175. And then as we continue to do that, and I'm not going to do this for a very long period of time because, when you're on the golf course, you're just hitting a few shots. Sometimes you have to open up and sometimes you don't. So if I need to open up some more, it's just about, hey, I need to gather and release through. Now we're 177. See how I'm ramping back up? And basically, when I'm at full efficiency, and that's not where I want to be at all the time, so I'm gonna keep it around that 175 to 180 mark, typically on the golf course. And the rest of it is the proper timing. So you notice how my lead foot is coming off the ground? The timing means that's going to plant way before I swing through. So here's what we're going to plant the seed for next video. I want you to go look at Fred Astaire golf dance. Watch Fred Astaire tap dance and hit shots at the same time. It's spectacular. Then you're going to notice that he always taps the left foot before he strikes through or skips the sole of the club through that concrete, surface that he's hitting shots off of. It's really, really cool. So this is what we're going to talk about in our next segment. So enjoy this. First, let's open things up. Let's get those arms swinging freely. Let's get that backside turned. And please go see how arms and club release Shawn Clement. And if you haven't been on our premium channel yet, it's only $5 a month. All this is in much more detail, several camera angles to help you out. Really is my life's work. So enjoy that. We'll see you next time.